Everything from repainting the tail fins as well, the planes themselves, but all the marketing and everything as well in the airport. That's going to be a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
So give us a sense for where does that happen? Who's in charge of that? Is it sales and marketing combined?
No, we have a very strong brand marketing department that actually just really got some launched, I would say probably about 4 years ago. We had been with the same advertising company at Alaska Airlines for over 25 years, a company by the name of Long Duty. And when we were looking at expanding, we hadn't changed the Alaska brand in over 25 years. The livery had been the same, the word mark, everything. And so we went and hired a new VP of marketing that came from Starbucks that had a lot of brand experience. And she has really helped transform what you see today as the new Alaska Airlines in terms of the livery, the look, the revised logo. So it is a very arduous and diligent process that they went through, which took a lot of research. And I tell you, one of the key things was the Eskimo on the tail. Mm-hmm. Being Alaska Airlines, that has a lot of meaning to our employee group, as well as it has a lot of meaning to people up in the state of Alaska. And so a lot of the feedback that we saw or heard was, do not get rid of the Eskimo. That is who you are. When I see that tail sitting at JFK, I already know I'm on my way home to the West Coast. It was what kind of resonates with those folks. But there had been a lot of other opposition to get rid of the Eskimo. So that was kind of an internal fight, and the Eskimo won. Okay, yeah. So it's good. So they did give the Eskimo an uplift, a facelift. So he looks a little bit more friendly. He's not scowling as much as he was in the past. But a very long process. When we looked at the Virgin brand as to do we keep it, you probably all know Virgin America pays a licensing fee for the name to Virgin Group. And that just was not financially sustainable to do that. Even though, the Virgin brand itself, the name Virgin is very recognizable. Based on the research that we did in the airline and the travel space, Alaska's brand actually resonated higher than the Virgin America brand. And so that kind of really gave us the impetus that we were on the right path to keep that going. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So go ahead.
So in terms of your role, and I know Doug plays in this as well, but and overseeing the marketing side, but also the community involvement and sales and all that.
Right.
Can you give us a sense for what the culture is like at Alaska, and if that differs from Virgin America in terms of the integration of sales and marketing teams?
Okay, the culture at Alaska, very employee-centric. They kind of liken it to, how do I say it? West Coast nice and not East Coast direct. So we maybe have a difficulty having those fierce conversations, with our employees. And so when I came to work for at Alaska from Delta Airlines after 19 years with Delta, it was really a breath of fresh air because one, it was a smaller company. It has a very entrepreneurial spirit. You were able to really own the markets in which you were the sales manager, and we did a lot of our own marketing. It was really before the whole brand marketing group came on board, and so we would put together our own flyers, and we'd go out to trade shows, and we would cut deals left and right. And so when we got somebody who had more experience in marketing, they were just shocked of all the things that we did, because it was just
like guerrilla marketing.
A potpourri of things that was just a mishmash of stuff. But you had to do what you had to do in sales in order to get the name out there. So to your question, the culture at Virgin America, was very much in the infancy. They had a culture of creating wow. How could we be? We are not your traditional airline. We are different. And so all of their approaches were, we need to be different. And so one of the things that was unique in bringing the sales forces together was when we have sales meetings and say, hey, we're going to do X, Y, and Z and move out. It was always the Virgin folks raising the hand. Well, why are we doing it that way? Why are we doing it this way? And so it helped us because we didn't have those people internal that were doing that based on the culture that we had. So we were bringing that along, with us. So that's kind of the differences. The Virgin culture, also was much younger. I mean, if you went into their corporate offices in Burlingame, everybody, was in, Levi's, tennis shoes, very casual. Not so at Alaska. That has really started to change, and so it really happened with our president and COO Ben Menicucci, who took over after the deal was approved and became president of Virgin America. He started wearing Levi's, and he started having this button undone a little bit more, and so the culture has kind of blended together. So I think Alaska, maybe is not as stuffy as it once was, as a result of Virgin.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So one of the things I think everybody is always, at least I am, intrigued by and mesmerized by year after year, the customer service ratings on the big airlines are always horrible. Even before all the videos that came out this last year or so, customer service ratings for Alaska Air and Virgin, JetBlue, Southwest are always through the roof. How is it? How are you able to hire or build a culture around just being nice? And why is it so hard for the big airlines to replicate that? It's a simple question, but it always boggles my mind.
Well, I can't speak, for the big airlines, but I can speak, on behalf of Alaska and to a lesser degree on Virgin. Alaska hires for that genuine caring person. And that is really an integral part of that HR process. And to hire frontline at Alaska is pretty rigorous. You go through a lot of different panels to make sure that we are capturing that genuine person. Is that sustainable? I mean, we have had to do so much hiring, with this growth that I think we may have had a little bit of a dip there, but that is still part of, I think what makes us successful is the frontline people, and you're hiring for that person who has empathy, that can, relate to, hey, I'm late for the airport. Too bad you missed your flight, go tomorrow. So we try to hire people, that can relate to what happens to the customers. And I think that's both Virgin and America did that. And then the other part of it is we also have empowered our frontline employees to make it right at the first point of contact and not have to bring the supervisor, we'll contact customer care. They have a toolkit, so if something goes awry, they can fix it right on the spot. It may not be to the best liking of that individual, but it definitely is something that can be offered at that time, as opposed to just push it off right customer care, which may not happen, at the larger legacies. Right. Yeah.
So there's a lot of industries out there when they make hires, especially in the sales, right, in marketing as well. They like to hire from their industry. They're convinced that no one can possibly understand their industry unless you come from it. But given the stark differences between your competitors on the big side and what you do you tend to shy away from hiring folks from the big airlines?
No. I mean, we want to have people that have knowledge of the industry, have an understanding of how the inner workings of dealing with the GDS's work, the global distribution system, know how to interact with a corporate travel manager. But no, we look outside. Like my counterpart up in the Pacific Northwest, we hired from T-Mobile. T-Mobile was, very quota driven. That was something that the airline industry, is not quota driven for our salespeople, because it's more of an indirect sell, more of kind of a informational selling, if you will, negotiating, with your procurement to, up the discount, up the share that they are giving us. But the airline really likes to promote from within, and a lot of times that's the only way that you can get into a sales position or another position of management, is that if you started at a front line. Because by starting in the front line, you know the operation, you know what the customer is experiencing, and then you can take that into your next role and really continue to drive that through your whole career.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I was curious when you talked about the shortage of pilots. I think we've all probably read the articles about how it's out there, and there's same thing in the nursing healthcare space, right? But hearing that real world story where you have 30 that you hire on Friday and only 15 show up on Monday, it's interesting. So how do you combat that? What do you do to attract people? Is
Money?
it just money? Is that what?
Well, I mean, the regional pilots are probably the lowest paid of the pilots group, and so that had to be addressed, and that has been addressed. But you just do not have the caliber of pilots coming out of the military, which was really the source where airlines got a lot of their pilots today. And so it's partnering with the high school in Seattle, Aviation High School, which is right next to SeaTac. We are always doing career days out there, getting youth interested in the airlines, especially being pilots. But it's not unique to Alaska. I mean, the regional space, and I'm not talking mainline because we're fully staffed there and doing well. It's that regional because that entry-level salary is pretty low, and you have a bunch of regionals that operate out of there that may have had a higher pay scale, and people are jumping ship on that. Hey, I got a better offer, so I'm going with this carrier, and that's why I didn't show up Monday.
Wow, geez, interesting. Any questions, by the way? Oh, yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Your hub is Seattle.
Yes, that's our largest.
Is that the only one?
No. So the largest hubs, Seattle, now San Francisco with Virgin America, Anchorage, Los Angeles, and then what we have besides the hub are focus cities. And San Diego, who's had a lot of phenomenal growth over the last 7 years, has been a focus city for Alaska, as has San Jose. And then with the Virgin acquisition, we actually picked up in the middle of the country a lot gates at Love Field. And so now we are launching service out of Love Field to the East Coast into LaGuardia, as well as we launched service out of Love Field into Dallas, San Diego, not Dallas, but Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, Seattle, and Portland. So what we're trying to do as we grow the airlines is maybe start connecting the dots, but we have been more and more successful with point-to-point flying. So you're really not having to transit any of our hubs unless you're going up into the Pacific Northwest state of Alaska. You're going to go through Seattle or maybe Portland. A lot of the flying we do is still point to point.
Another question, Nancy?
Yeah.
Jeff, when you're merging these two giant companies together,
Right.
Culture, people is one thing. Tell us a little bit about the processes. Like you've got two sales platforms, you've got two learning platforms, or multiple.
Yeah.
How do you decide you're going to go with Salesforce, you're going to go with Cornerstone? How do you make those decisions?
Well, we just made the decision to go to Salesforce because that's what Virgin had. Okay, and so we didn't have a CRM tool in the sales space before. Yeah, we did not. I mean, we had a lot of databases, but none of them talked to each other. But one fortunate thing is that from a reservation standpoint, Virgin was hosted by Sabre. Alaska's hosted by Sabre. And even though you have, the partitions and differences between the two, that made it a little bit easier versus other carriers that may have been Apollo and Sabre and then deciding on which ones to go to. But you are bringing in the key stakeholders and then taking that input and making the best decision forward. A lot of the policies have had to be adopt and go because when you're running an airline, I mean, it's 24/7 and, you got to stay on time. And so you don't have the opportunity to decide, hey, let's look at doing it this way, blah, 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 blah. Alaska had some very good operational methodology, and that really is what kept us on time and had 7 years of the best on-time performance. And so it's bringing that methodology over to Virgin America and them adopting it. And I'll just give you a case in point. Alaska is very scorecard centric. Everything is measured. And so when a plane comes into the gate, everybody has a specific job and duty to do to ensure that that plane is turned within 50 minutes or less to make sure that that on time happens throughout the day. One key part of that is when you turn into the gate, that front door needs to be open within the first 59 seconds of that plane pulling up. Once that door is open, the clock starts ticking for the bags to make it to the carousel within 20 minutes, or we pay out, $25 or 2,000 miles if your bag's not at the carousel. So things like that are adopt and go that we want to make sure that Virgin is doing as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Quentin, yeah.
So you mentioned that the brands are totally different. The customer base is totally different. I would assume that Virgin skews towards millennials more. So how are you going to get those millennials to jump ship? Because when I fly Virgin, I look at it as a treat. I'm going to party.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're going to the club. Yeah.
So how do you get those?
Yeah, you just bring the Eskimo to the club with you.
Yeah,
and you'll be fine.
yeah. Well, what they created, was unique, and that it was, that wow, factor. The mood lighting, the onboard ordering, through the screen. A lot of that's very the onboard ordering. The entertainment system is very, very costly, and it's not a lot of is not very reliable, and we are moving away from that. But what we are doing is we went to free movies. We were the first airline to do free chat, and so you can be on your cell phone and use the WhatsApp app or use iMessenger and chat for free to anybody on the ground. So we're trying to take things that are appealing to the millennial and carry them over into the new Alaska. The mood lighting, we're going to incorporate music at the gate. So a lot of things that they were doing, we're still going to try to capture that millennial traveler. Huge big push, in ensuring that frequent flyer base, which is called Elevate at Virgin America, comes over to Alaska. So all the miles were matched at 1.3 ratio, so that gave them more miles by coming into our program. And it's videos like that different works, and being just very cognizant that it's not just Alaska stamp on it, that it's meaningful and thoughtful. Yeah.
Arthur, sorry.
Jeff, we were talking prior to the meeting starting. I was sharing with you men international traveler. The question I have is, I know American recently moved from GoGo, which is their vendor that they're using, to Panasonic. They first did it internationally, and now they're doing it domestically. It's a huge difference in the quality of internet service. What is the plan for Alaska, not just to keep the millennials, but some of us are baby boomers that like.
Yeah. No. I mean, yeah. As you know, the GoGo system operates off of cellular towers.
No class warfare. Keep it nice.
And so that's why GoGo was not being able. You would not be able to connect on GoGo. Going over to Hawaii. Or flying up into the greater part of Alaska. So what we have made the decision is that we are going to a satellite-based system so that you will have connectivity across the entire fleet. That connectivity will be just like the same amount of bandwidth coming into your home. You'll be able to stream Netflix, HBO Go, watch live TV, whatever you can do at home, you'll be able to do on board the aircraft. That is a GoGo product, but it is not the cellular-based. It will be a satellite-based product called GoGo K2. Yeah, is the name of it. It's very expensive, for the airlines, because when you go with satellite, and the reason why we were really looking at Row 44, which was a Thousand Oaks-based company, which is what Southwest has today. And that requires the installation of an antenna on top of the plane, and you have to cut out a section of the fuselage to put that antenna in, and redid it. So we were testing it, and our pilots felt that there was always this vibration going on, in this test flight. And plus, to be able to take a plane out of service for a week to do that was just not something in the cards for us. So that's why we chose GoGo several years back, and that was kind of the quick fix. They have now evolved the technology where you don't have to take the plane out of service with the cutting out the fuselage and stuff, and so it's a different type of product. But that's that's key, promoting that. The other thing is Wi-Fi. The owner of the Wi-Fi, GoGo, that charges exorbitant amount of money. It's just crazy. Just insider tip, if you are on a GoGo flight, go to gogo.com and buy the pass there, because it'll save you anywhere from $20 to $30 than buying it on the plane. Yeah.
Did Alaska learn anything specific from that United oversold fiasco last year? Did you infuse any new practices in the business as a result?
Make everybody shut off their phone when
Exactly right. Or drop them in a
No,
basket.
I mean,
No video.
no,
No
you know
video,
what?
yeah, right.
We our senior VP at the time, Joe Sprague, testified on Capitol Hill about what is Alaska's policy with oversold situations, and it's very simple. I mean, one, you have to oversell to a degree to make sure that you go out with 100% full flight. But you have to have also the data and the metrics to know which flights that will go out full. You're not going to oversell on Thanksgiving Wednesday, or that Sunday. So we're very methodical about where we oversell. We really didn't have to change any internal policies based on what we have to deal with an oversell situation. That doesn't happen. Involuntary denied boarding is very low at Alaska. It's kind of a philosophy that our revenue management had, because it puts so much burden on your frontline agent, to tell somebody, hey, you can't make the flight today. You really can't do anything about cell phones. I mean, what we have noticed after that incident that our frontline employees face is anytime a customer, starts feeling that they're not being treated right or not getting their way, they pull their cell phone out and start filming. How would you like that, in a call?
Sales call, yeah.
Start filming. So we just, encourage our employees, hey, do the right thing. That's one of our core values. Do the right thing. Be kind-hearted, and hopefully diffuse any situation like that would occur. Yeah. Yes, sir. Oh, go ahead.
I know you're trying to win back or win over the millennials, right? And Arthur was on to something here about the boomers. We're pretty easy to please.
I don't know about that, Mark.
I mean, hot towels and blankets, long-run flights. Are they coming back or what?
We got rid of the blankets when that epidemic that was going on, and I can't remember exactly.
Because they're getting so old, their systems are slowing
down.
down.
Yeah.
As baby boomers,
no.
they have more circulation. They need blankets.
Yeah. But we are evaluating, bringing back, the blankets, for, the transcon flights, for the, Hawaii flights. So that is something of a consideration. What was the other?
Hot towels?
Hot towels in first.
Get rid of whatever's in the blanket.
We still do the hot towels in first. We launched premium class earlier this year, which is 30 seats in the economy section of the plane. The first, you got better pitch, you get the free drinks, a couple of amenities, and we're continuing to tweak that product. But yeah, we are definitely mindful. The key is, everybody's always after this elusive millennial, but you want to make sure that you're having a larger base. And Alaska's brand still does appeal, to millennials, maybe not so much as virgins, but the millennials could not support Virgin. That's why they had to be sold. They had too small of a demographic that they had gone over that just did not resonate. And so you've got to have a broad section of customers in order to support the airline.
That's a good lesson. Yeah. All right, last question. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for calling on a Gen Xer, by the way.
Exactly. Hey, we got to fight the power. Fight the power.
You've talked about a lot of successes in transition and merger. Clearly, you have a lot of them. What's been the biggest source of resistance, either from Virgin to Alaska or vice versa, and how do you overcome it?
Let me see. That's a good question. I'm sure there are processes at Frontline that have been resisted. From a sales marketing standpoint, they had to be very aggressive based upon their route network. Okay, they were going up against all of the majors in every route that they went. I mean, that was kind of their strategy. They were going to pull off of American Delta and United in the Transcon, in the LA-Dallas market. So wherever they went, they were battling. So when they did contracts with corporations, they were no goals associated with them. It was basically the only way that they could get their foot in the door is here's a discount without any commitment. And so that's been a kind of a transition from a sales side of, hey, we need to set, some goals in here and expectations of what this contract is going to produce. And so they were a little bit more maverick, I guess, in that respect, in the sales.
We have time for one more question. Is another one? Yeah. Elaine. Oh. But,
He sat at my table at the awards.
oh, there you go.
I'm
Gotcha.
excited I'm going to Hawaii in 3 weeks. But this past summer, when I was looking at fares, and this is a fair science question.
Yep.
It's about $1,500 for 2 seats, San Diego to Kona round trip. And I kept looking at it. I said, well, it should be lower now, early in June or July. And I kept waiting and waiting. And right, I finally said, well, I don't want the plane to sell it.
Uh-huh.
And not get these flights because we had the dates locked. I really wasn't going to be able to make an adjustment.
Right.
Sure enough, I decided to buy the tickets. I go to buy them $1,100. What is that science between when the fare is the lowest to?
I have no idea.
3 months out low, and I'm sure right now it's
There are revenue analysts on every single route that we have. And we utilize a system that looks historically at where is the flights, how many seats can sell at this particular fare every day, and they are making adjustments thousands of times a day across the network. If you ever are in a situation on Alaska and you buy a ticket and your fare goes down, we have a fare guarantee that we will refund you the difference if that fare goes down and you're on the exact same flight. So just know that. I mean, that if that should happen, but it just depends. I mean, there's a whole. We hire data scientists now to look at revenue management. It's incredible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right, Maria.
What are your personal top initiatives in your role?
Okay. On the sales side is one during this year is bringing all of the Virgin corporate customers onto single paper, so over to Alaska paper contracts. And so that was our goal, because what has already started happening is that the Virgin code can no longer be booked through the GDS or their website after April the 24th. Okay, so what we want to ensure is that all of those customers are now booking and plating on Alaska Airlines. So that's a huge goal with us. The second goal is that we don't lose any of the customers that came on board. So we were very diligent at the very beginning to announce the merger. We did celebratory discounts across the board. So if someone had a Virgin contract, they automatically got discounts on Alaska Airlines as well, for an interim period of time through either June or December, depending on the size of the account. So that was one goal, don't lose any. And then the second is building up new customers. And whether that be corporate contracted or mileage plan member, every employee has skin in the game to increase the Visa signature card, because that's a huge revenue source for the airline, as well as increase the members in the loyalty program, because especially if you get those two, those customers, if you treat them right, are going to stay with you and be lifelong customers going forward.
All right, so we're a little bit over time, so I'm going to go ahead and close it out now. But thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Please,
Thank you,
join me
guys.
thank you, man. Thank you again for being a sponsor as well.